Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the chess tournament of the year here in 2025. We are in Stavanger, Norway for Norway Chess. We have Magnus Carlsen, Hikaru Nakamura, Fabiano Caruana, Wei Yi, Arjun Erigaisi, and Gukesh participating in an insane field. This is the last recap. Today we might have seen the last game that Magnus Carlsen plays in the classical format ever. We don't know. He is leading the tournament. Only Gukesh can catch him. Here we go. This last round was something out of... this tournament has had everything. You might have watched this tournament because of the meme of Magnus Carlsen slamming the table. Well, you're about to go out with a table being thrown out of a window. All right? Magnus has the black pieces, and he is playing Arjun Erigaisi. All right? Indian superstar in his own right. And the game begins with d4, d5. While this game is going on, Fabiano Caruana is playing against Gukesh, and Gukesh is playing with the black pieces. If Gukesh wins, it all comes down to Magnus. Because if you win in this format, you get 3 points. If Magnus wins, he is the tournament champion. He opens with the Queen's Gambit declined. All right, and for the first time ever in these recaps, I'm not going to wait for one game to finish until going to the other game. We have knight to c3, knight f6. This is the exchange Queen's Gambit declined. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to test you on it. The bishop goes to g5. This is all normal stuff. This has all been seen before. And in this setup, black goes h6 and c6, solidifying the center, then developing the light-squared bishop and the knight. You will notice that both guys are just playing straightforward moves. In this setup, white likes to go here, white likes to play f3 and e4 in the Queen's Gambit declined exchange variation. Now, while these boys are figuring out their opening, Fabiano Caruana and Gukesh are in an Italian. But something fascinating happens in this game as Gukesh on the fourth move plays h6. This is provocation on a whole nother level. He is playing for a win with black. He wants to beat Fabiano Caruana. They have played each other in the candidates in the Olympiad. He's trying to make a statement. Fabi's no longer going to go to g5. And not only that, Gukesh then plays g6 and bishop g7 and d6 and a6. He basically plays a fusion of an Italian and a King's Indian-esque type of position. Back to this game for a little while. Knight d7. Magnus Carlsen, meanwhile, also wants to win with black, and he plays a5 and b5. This is some cutting-edge modern stuff. Normally not seen. Normally, the rook goes to e8, the knight goes to f8, black plays very solid, kind of waits for white to build up a center. Magnus like, nope, I'm just coming straight down the board here against Erigaisi, who proceeds to spend 12 minutes before playing his next move. Now, the setup for white, listen, in case it's not obvious, white still needs to make this plan happen. He needs to open up the position like this. Oftentimes, the bishop comes back supporting the center, whereas black is going to try to launch play down that side of the board. Remember, if Magnus wins the tournament with black in the classical portion, goes out with a bang, 2840 live rating, nobody has caught him. He's been the #1 ranked player in the world for 14 years. For a decade and a half, nobody has had a higher classical rating. This man has the highest classical rating ever. For nearly, do you know how many technological innovations have in the last 15 years? I'm asking, I actually don't know. Rook e8, e4. Erigaisi playing the most principled type of chess possible. Magnus striking on the queen side with the move b4, attacking the knight. The knight's got to move. It goes here. White opens up an attack on the c6 pawn, and white potentially will come in. This is the drawback of black's setup. The drawback is that it's a hyper-provocative setup. Kind of like the Gukesh setup, but actually, this is a bit more provocative. We'll stop toggling, all right? I'm just letting you know, while these two games are going on at the same time, both players are playing for first place. Let it be known, Fabiano Caruana, by the way, also playing for first place. If Fabiano Caruana wins this game with the white pieces, it kind of depends what happens in this other game. He has a chance to win. He has a chance to win the whole thing. So, pawn takes e4 for Magnus. Pawn takes e4. Knight takes e4. This gets a brilliant move, but this is one of those fake brilliant moves, a phantom brilliant move. Remember, Game Review is built for a pre-existing level of degeneracy as it pertains to chess. Knight e4 is a brilliant move, but not at this level. The bishops see each other, and obviously, if white were to take, which he does, queen e7, just queen c6, nobody blunders anything. It's a very complicated position. But as you can see from the next move, knight ef6 is a massive mistake, but it's not what you think. It's not what you think. Now, if you just look at the board, there's a queen, and it's attacking a rook. If you're looking at that going, what the... You're right. Hot take, I think Magnus didn't see the rook was hanging. I mean, I think he just missed it. I think it's time to retire. I think it's time to quit, to only play golf. I'm joking. The reason why Magnus didn't defend that is because if rook b8 happens, there are various attacks that can happen on the black king, like on the f file, right? Bishop c4, etc. And I think Magnus went here because what he had calculated was when he loses the rook, he has queen e3 check, and he's going to win the bishop. And he probably calculated he has sufficient counterplay against the knight, and ultimately he's going to have sufficient counterplay against the king. And he's right. After knight to f4 and queen takes d4, this computer does not evaluate the position properly. Keep in mind, the Stockfish browser-based client is not that strong, and this was not the best move by Arjun, but it was close. I think rook c1, technically, first was the best move. And there are some really wicked lines here. Like, they are so complicated. But in general, the point is that black will just start an attack against the king. Like, that is the point. The point is that Magnus calculated that this rook sacrifice will result in a counterattack against the king. However, after rook to d1, there is a critical difference. The queen needs to stay on this diagonal. You need to perpetually leave this as a threat. And in a shocking turn of events, Magnus does not do that. That is the difference. The queen needed to stay on that diagonal. Of course, it's very complicated. Of course, I'm simplifying. It's a recap video. I'm not going to show you 20 moves in a row. But there are all sorts of lines where the knight joins the queen and you need the queen on the square. Magnus goes here. And now Arjun plays this move. You see, the point is that if Arjun had just played that move, Magnus's queen is on the right spot. And now Magnus is losing. He is straight up losing the game. So while this game is going on, remember, Gukesh just has to get on the board. So while that game is going on and Magnus is losing, Gukesh's game is going on. We'll get into that, don't worry. Okay, Magnus goes knight f8. He straight up has to lose the bishop too. The bishop is just going to perish. It hasn't moved. By no fault of its own, it's going to get captured. And yet the best move was not even to take it. The best move for white, according to deep Stockfish analysis, is knight c5. Not even taking the bishop, arguing that it's garbage, bringing the knight back, or just trying to hunt down these pawns. Knight c5 was like a +3 advantage. I know this says 1.3, +3. But he takes. Now Magnus finds this nice idea. Queen takes f4. You can't take the queen. Rook e1 is mate. You can't take the rook. Queen f1 is mate. So we have queen a6. And now Magnus sacrifices his queen. That's the only move. It's the only move. Otherwise, I would have taken, I would have won these pawns, you would have lost the long endgame. Instead, Magnus has to give up his queen to win both rooks and defend one of the nastiest endgames. This is, if you look at this, if I asked you right now, how does white win this game? Most of you say, I don't know, because like 90% of you are rated below 1,000, and that's fine. Let me explain. You don't get back rank mated. You always make sure your king is safe. You win these pawns, and you make a queen. You have literally no other way to win the game. Unless your opponent, has explosive diarrhea. I have no idea. Like, they might hang the rook in one move, and then the knight, and then the other knight. And then they might hang their king. It's not even possible, but they'll find a way to do it. That's the way you try to win this endgame. Which is why Eric Icey is making sure he can't get back rank mated. He's going to go queen b5. I was looking at this, I was like, this looks miserable. This is a horrendous endgame to have to defend. How does black even do anything? Look, the king is already saved. I'm going to win both pawns. There's no way you can save both pawns. Magnus goes rook d5. Every guy goes knight b6. He's going to put his knight here. He's going to take this pawn. He's going to take this pawn. Magnus is going to lose. He's about to lose to the top 2 rated players from India. India, stand up. Y'all are, oh my God, y'all are on fire. It's incredible. Rook c5, knight c4. This is hopeless. This is a completely hopeless position. Black's pawns are back. His knights are back. Yet, the computer said if you go knight g6 for some reason, it's around equal. But this move is the wrong move. You needed to go knight g6 and create immediate counterplay against, the line there was so disgusting. It was like, you try to run in with the knight and the rook. It's alien level chess. Instead, this is what Magnus goes for. He's all in. He's using the only resources he has. He's starting some phantom attack against Eric Icey's king, but he's going to lose. He's going to lose his last pawn, and Eric Icey's going to win the game. Knight c4 back, Magnus goes g4. Eric Icey goes b3. That's the end of the attack. You can't, if you go here, I'm going to check you, and I'm going to win this pawn so fast. The attack is gone. The white king has so much space around it. Except That's not even half of the freaking story. Rook h5. And you're like, all right, I'm going to lose this pawn. Obviously, I'm going to go defend it. That move loses the entire advantage because in this position, black can immediately play the move knight to g5. Immediately. And I'm going to show you why in a second, all right? Knight to g5. Why is this move possible? Because even though you hang this, rook h3, and the king cannot escape. Why? Rook g3! You cannot take the rook because this is a fork. You cannot go here because you lose the... Magnus has a draw in the hand now. He has a draw in the pockets by sacrificing the knight. Now here, either Magnus straight up didn't see knight g5, or, and I'm not exaggerating, he wants to keep the game going. Because in this position, he goes king g7. Either he missed this concept of sacking the knight and rook h3, rook g3, or this man is playing for a win down a queen. And guess what? In a moment, it's about to get really uncomfortable. He plays rook d3, which is the best move, and Erigaisi is suddenly worse. Magnus is about to win a game up down a queen. What? How is that even? What? He's about to win the game down a queen. He's down a queen. He hasn't had a queen for like 15 moves. How is this even happening? Queen b4 is a blunder. Magnus, knight fe4 incoming. These 4 pieces, and maybe even the 5th, are about to terrorize the white king. How is Magnus Carlsen saving this position? If he wins this game, he wins the tournament outright. He wins the whole tournament. King f1, rook d2, oh my goodness. Knight f3, rook f2 is mate. Knight f3, knight g3 is mate. He's setting this up. Erigaisi goes here. And he's losing on the spot. In this position, you want to play knight f3, but you can't because you're pinned. You have to play f5, the final pawn, the only piece in the black position that has not moved. On its 42nd move, f5 wins. If queen f5, fork. If knight f5, you have enough time to give a check and bring in your second knight. You have enough time to do it, and you win the game. f5, knight f5, rook f2. Anywhere the king goes, if it goes to e1, knight f3, king d1, knight c3. I'm showing you the arrows because you have to calculate this in the game. And Magnus misses it. He has another chance. He has one more chance, but he goes here. And now it's not so simple. Deep engine analysis is saying that this is -3. Queen e5 check. Magnus's king repeats the position, and he goes down to almost no time on the clock and goes king to e3. He plays this move with 17 seconds on the clock. He doesn't repeat the position. The evaluation of this position on deep stockfish analysis is -8. It is still winning because after knight to d5 and king d4 and king e1, rook h2 is the winning move. You need to move your rook to the edge of the board. Then you need to throw in a couple of checks with your knights and your rook, and you win the game. Rook h2 is the winning move. But he does what every human does with 30 seconds on the clock. He takes a free pawn, but that is not where he had to move. And now Erigaisi finds the only defensive move, which is setting up discovered attacks against the king. Magnus has 27 seconds on the clock. The winning idea here for black is to attack the queen, put this knight back, defend each other, run the king into the middle. Knight here, king here. Stockfish shows a defensive setup that is so unhuman. I can't even begin to summarize it. And the players repeat the position, and Magnus makes a draw. Oh God. Oh my goodness. This man almost won this game with no queen. That would have been the most heinous last round clutch victory. He was so close. He had f5 on the board. If there's a move that's going to keep him awake at night, it's the move f5. f5 won the game on the spot because f5 disconnected all counterattacks. Knight f3, knight g3 were next. Rook f2. Now, if Gukesh beats Fabiano Caruana, he wins the tournament. If Gukesh wins in the Armageddon and Magnus loses in the Armageddon, more on that later, they have to play a playoff. Keep in mind, Gukesh turned this game into a complete mess. Fabiano was playing knight back to e2, knight to g3, and Gukesh was like, I'm not going to be denied. We're getting into a fight. Gukesh reached across the table and slap Fabiano Caruana. No, he didn't. He's like the most respectful guy on the planet. I would never joke about that. Queen to e2. Gukesh goes d4. And he's ready to reposition a knight into the middle of the board. Early on, Stockfish liked the position for white. But as it always happens in Gukesh's games, this man is just so capable. He grabs a pawn and just calls the bluff and is like, I have an extra pawn. You can come at my king. When you need to play for a win, sometimes you need to play for a loss. You have to risk it all. Rook to f8. Queen goes back to e2. Bishop back to d6. But over the next few moves, Fabiano Caruana shows why he is also at the very top. And he sacrifices his own rook to force the queen off the edge of the board, picks up the bishop, and after the dust settles, Fabi is winning. He is winning. He has a bishop and a knight, and the king is coming here, and Gukesh and him both have around 20 minutes on the clock. Queen a1 check. The bishop goes back to play defense. Unbelievable move. Just sensational. Knight back to g3. Fabi now will win a long endgame. The bishop and the knight, in the long run, are better than the rook. He is going to get to one of these pawns, and then he's probably going to promote, or the bishop, the knight, and the queen are going to lead a devastating attack against the black king. The white king is completely safe. Knight goes to e4, and we see the makings of the attack. It's building up. The bishop is going to come here. There is no way for Gukesh to win this position with black. c4. He goes for a counterplay. Fabiano comes back to b4, keeps creating some threats. King to b7, bishop f2. If the black center falls, the game is over. Pawn takes d3 from Gukesh. Bishop takes d4 from Fabiano. Rook a6, queen b4. The king is hiding. The queen is giving a check. Queen goes back. Queen to c5. Rook e6. And then rook d6. Oh my goodness. You cannot take the rook. If you take the rook, this is a check. And at the end of it, I start pushing my pawn through. And somehow, I was panicking here. Gukesh has 15 seconds on the clock. Fabi plays bishop e5. Gukesh finds the best move. He finds the best move with 5 seconds on the clock. 5 seconds on the clock, he finds the best move. And Fabi blunders. Fabiano Caruana blunders. He plays f4, and Gukesh finds the best move with 3 seconds on his clock. He thought down to 3 seconds. It's now equal. It is now equal, and anything can happen in this position. Fabi, all in. Bishop c7. If queen c7, queen d5, and I'm suddenly picking up but that's actually the best move. Queen here, you can take with check. Gukesh can play queen c7, queen f4, and he saves the game because he can sack the queen for the knight and promote the pawn. This is unbelievable. Queen c7, but Gukesh has no time. And in this position, he plays d1. He has 2 queens on the board, but the problem is, not only is he about to lose one of them, he's about to get forked. And out of nowhere, Fabiano Caruana re-wins the final game of the tournament against Gukesh. Out of nowhere. It was complete chaos. Gukesh played ridiculously well. He made another queen, but he had to not make the queen. He had to take the bishop, and he sat there. Knight c3 is the only winning move. He missed knight c3. It's the only winning move. He thought he probably had some move, and he sat there, buried his head in his hands, for like 10 minutes. And that means that since Gukesh didn't score a single point, no matter what happens in the Armageddon game between Arjun Erigaisi and Magnus Carlsen, Magnus Carlsen wins Norway Chess 2025. He kind of goes out with a bang, by the way. He kind of goes out with a bang. It was a King's Indian. Remember, black gets draw odds in Armageddon. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. Arjun Erigaisi, though, I will show you. He played an absolutely incredible game. Erigaisi is... Magnus compared Erigaisi to a modern-day Ivanchuk. And for long-time chess fans, you know that that is a huge bit of praise. This is what Erigaisi did to Magnus's king in the Armageddon. He hunted it out into the open, and then he checkmated it. So, Erigaisi ending the tournament great. Magnus ending the tournament with a sigh of relief. 7-time Norway chess champion. What a tournament. I mean, that's the wrap-up right there. We got more games. I will show them to you, of course. We have Wei Yi and Hikaru. They also were fighting for a potential bit of first place. Like, if Hikaru got a win. Hikaru played also an e4, e5 game where he tried to keep pieces on the board, but it was not to be. Wei Yi put pressure throughout the game, and then he had some kingside attacking ideas, and I think there was a moment actually right around here. Hikaru was cracking up at the board. Why was he cracking up at the board? Wei Yi sacked the rook, but what this move does is it forces a draw. queen takes h6, queen g6, and the game ends by repetition. Both guys played at 99% accuracy in this last game. But then in the Armageddon, remember, Wei Yi has beaten Magnus twice, and he beat Hikaru the first time they played in the Armageddon. And remember, white starts with 3 extra minutes. If the game ends in a draw, that's the format. So if you're new to the chess world, I understand. I might be going a little bit fast. The tournament is over. The champion is crowned. The storylines are there. And I got news for you. Wei Yi is about to pick up another win in the Armageddon format. He 4-0'd Hikaru and Magnus. I will repeat myself. Wei Yi defeated Hikaru in the Armageddon, Magnus in the Armageddon, 4-0. Yo, they gotta invite my guy to more tournaments. Please invite Wei Yi to more tournaments. Please. He hasn't been that active over the last couple of years. I think he was in university. Get this man into every single top tournament, please. And Gukesh. And Evergaisi. This was a perfect field of players. The final standings. I don't want to play any spoilers. The last standings. Magnus wins with 16. Fabiano 15.5, 14.5. 14 for Hikaru, 4th place. Evergaisi 13. So close. Separated by 1 classical game. Wei Yi 9.5. He had a few losses in the classical. He had more losses in the classical. He obviously needed to work on the classical. And now we go, what on earth is going on? I don't know how this is happening. So annoying. I think like my browser refreshed before the recap. Y'all saw nothing. Don't worry about it. Now, here, it's also a multiple horse race, but there is a clear leader amongst the pack, and that's Anna Muzichuk. Now, this was the only classical win of the round. The other 2 were decided in Armageddon. This is kind of like an old Indian defense. Literally, that's what it's called. I'm not referring to like, you know, an Indian person in their 50s and 60s. For some reason, this is called the old Indian. It's a very provocative system where black gets a very offbeat type of opening. It's actually a great opening to play against somebody who has excellent opening preparation because not so simple, right? And we see white already spending a lot of time. Rook a5 is an incredible move. Multiple ideas like invading down the a file and also helping to activate yet like this. c6. And there was a really funny moment late in this middle game. So it was very tense. Both sides were maneuvering. Very close position, as you can see. Like a lot of shuffling. Bishop f4, right? All good. Knight e4, all good. Takes. Knight c5. Now, there's a moment here it's going to get really, really out of hand. Knight d3. Here. So, black can play bishop takes, and trap the queen. It's kind of crazy. Bishop takes bishop. Bishop takes knight. Rook b8. Queen is trapped. Because the queen has no moves. Queen is relying on c5. That's the getaway square. So bishop takes is winning for black. She misses it. Because she has five minutes, obviously. You know, it happens. Then white is better again. And then a few moves later, we go back to equality in a time scramble. Not an Armageddon, just a pure time scramble. And suddenly there's a moment here. Bishop b4. Now white is winning. f3 wins. Wins the game. Kicks out the bishop. Bishop is hanging. Queen f7. White takes the bishop. There was a moment. f3 was winning. I don't know what she missed. But both sides had opportunities. And then it was, I mean, it was equal throughout. It was this endgame with rook versus bishop and 5 pawns. A completely insane position. Look at this. I mean, it looks like black is supposed to just win on the spot. Black is trying to scramble. Look at this. You are deflecting the queen from the... It's incredible. All right, bishop, rook b6. Black has 4 pawns, though. And if those pawns get moving, it could be really, really bad. Bishop b4, king f6. Okay, it's just a draw. Bishop d2. It's just a draw. And white kind of goes for it here. f5, rook here, and king to d6. King d8, same idea. But now black gets in. And in an insane time scramble to conclude Norway chess here, the white rook gets kicked out, and black just has 3 passed pawns. And you are not going to stop 3 passed pawns. You can stop 2 passed pawns. You cannot stop 3 passed pawns. And Lei Tingjie wins a very, very, very difficult final game. 103 moves is the final count. Crazy stuff. But it feels so good to end a tournament like that. And of course, we had Armageddons. We have the multiple-time world champ, the legend also from India, Humpy Konaru, H. Rampowski, one of my favorite openings. Black in this game got a very strange position, putting the queen on e6. I've never seen that before in my entire life of playing this opening, and Humpy was forced to play really aggressive chess. Humpy more kind of like a strategist, like tactician, like a surgeon when she plays, but when she is forced into complete chaos, she will thrive. This game also comes down to a complete time scramble, 1 minute per player, but white dominant pawn positioning. It's just going to be so hard to prevent play here. Yes, there are some moments black can make a comeback, but with no time on the clock, you kind of expect mistakes. The mistakes arrive. Black has just lost your queen. Queen d7 idea is not right away. Don't hang your queen, but rook f4. Not right away. There's a lot of ways to lose all your pieces, but Humpy wins in the Armageddon, and you have the tournament champ who drew in the classical and really did not matter. She played the Armageddon. They played a solid game. Vaishali also had an interesting event, winning and losing some very complicated games. She had a heartbreaking game against Humpy. And in this game, Anna played... I mean, she's playing with white, and she is going to create some chances here, and she built up a completely winning endgame. So this is like a totally winning position, because white is just going to play e5, king e4, take the pawn, and get into the black position. Just an amazing game from Muzichuk. Rook f5. Now she has to find the win. It's actually not so obvious. I think the white king needs to go here. The rook needs to go to d5. And then there's like a moment you can triangulate. You put the rook on d5. Black needs to give you the path, and then you get in somehow. And she kind of does it, but I think here she needed to play slightly differently. She did it like this, and now Vaishali just gets back into the game and creates some chances. That was, I don't know what was that? See, chess.com's been doing this. Saw that? Just jump to the end. Anyway, I didn't click that. That was not me. But point being, they draw the game. Anna Muzichuk wins Norway Chess. She got 16.5, and Leiting Jie with a big last round win, 16, second place. Sarah Kadam with 9, Vaishali 11, Ju and June 13.5. The world champs were challenged in this tournament a lot, but Magnus ultimately prevailed. Folks, that concludes the tournament of the year. Nothing is going to top that. Let's not even get it twisted. This field was incredible. My perspective on Norway Chess 2025 was, if you combine the right players, the top 3 from the old guard, Magnus, Fabi, Hikaru, versus young, exciting players, not just the world champ Gukesh, but guys like Erigaisi, Wei Yi. You could have thrown a Nodjibek Abdustarov in there. You throw Ali Reza Firouzja in there, and you give them 2 hours, and that's it. None of this stuff in chess where you, on the 40th move, you get another 30 minutes. On the 40th move, you get another hour. On the 60th move, you get time. No. One of the major reasons that chess is impossible to watch live, and look, that's a take not shared by everybody, but you're lying to yourself if you watch an entire chess event from start to finish. It's 7 hours long. You put it on in the background, you check in, blah, blah, blah. This format is great because it's a 4-hour show. Forget the Armageddon. It's a 4-hour show. The games come down to exciting finishes. This type of format challenges you in classical chess. It challenges you in rapid and blitz at the end, challenges your nerves. I love this tournament. I hope Magnus Carlsen plays again. They've been talking about this might be his last classical game ever. I'm so excited. I just spat everywhere. We're not even going to cut that out. They're talking about this as the last classical game ever. I hope not. Magnus, please come back. I know you wanted to win by a dominant margin. Don't just go away and play rapid blitz and freestyle. We got to get him back for this format. Summon it within yourself. Give us a few more good years. Oh my goodness, I'm going to go watch Djokovic Center. Norway Chess is done. I hope you enjoyed the recaps. You know where to find me. Check out Chessly. Improve your chess. We got epic stuff coming out on Chessly over the next couple of weeks. Make sure to try it out. We're completely rebuilding the openings interface. And that's all. Get out of here.